Dream Theater, Metropolis Part 2, scenes from memory, 12 tracks for 77 minutes, the fifth studio album of the American band, released October 1999 via Electro, produced by Mike Portnoy and John Petrucci. 2 singles were released in Home and Through Her Eyes. The album peaked number 73 in the US, number 131 in the UK. This is the band's first album, Jordan Rudess on keyboards, and is the band's first concept album, the theme being a direct sequel to the song Metropolis Part 1, The Miracle and The Sleeper from the 1992 album Images and Words.
Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah, I better go before these two splooge all over the set. I've always found Dream Theater to be a challenging listen. There's no doubting the talent in the band. We all know that. They're all incredible musicians, so we'll put that aside. They are amazing. Dream Theater is not an easy listen, but it's not supposed to be. It's kind of musicians' music. I get that. After seeing them live as well, like I was in awe for about 30 minutes and then bored shitless for the next 90. The album's a little bit like that, but I reckon this is probably the best Dream Theater album I've ever heard.
Cool.
I really did get into it. The technical side was really awesome, and the melodic stuff is not as cheesy as some of their other stuff they've had in the past. I find when they sort of let the vocals go, they get a bit, let's say, European, into that sort of funny soaring place that I just find a bit sort of boring and hard. But I found this one a lot more accessible than a lot of their other albums. I actually quite enjoyed it. Everything sounds phenomenal.
Yep.
It's performed amazing. Yeah, I actually kind of liked it. I gave this 8 out of 10. I thought it was pretty cool. The highlights for me was Scene 3, Part 2, Fatal Tragedy, or some bullshit like that. I don't know. Fucking Barks movement. Doesn't fucking matter. There was a bit there that I really liked, and it was called something like that.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
There it is.
Right.
Go on, Nick.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. One word. Masterpiece. Here it is. Again, another first day buyer.
Is this the whole fucking page?
I'm not going to read the whole fucking thing.
It's almost as long as the album.
For me, this is the best Dream Theater album by a mile. I mean, people say Images and Words. The man next to me probably say that. But for me, I think this shit's all over it. And that's a big rap, because everyone says Images and Words are a classic of the genre and stuff like that.
I think it's better than Images and Words.
I think this is much better. Yeah. Not only that, but it's up there with things like The Wall and Operation Mindcrime is probably my favourite concept album as well.
Okay.
The Dream Theater is often accused of, favouring, virtuosity over songwriting and stuff like that. Not on here. This is a collection of songs, right? Set to a concept as such. They haven't really sacrificed. You see them do it later on in their career and probably a little bit before. This is where it all gelled for them, as far as I was concerned. Songs flow seamlessly into each other as well, which is, as much as I love Dream Theater, almost as much as this man next to me, a lot of the albums are a little bit disjointed. Yeah. This one was an easy listen for me.
It makes sense.
Or an easier listen, I should say.
Yeah, definitely.
They were prog albums. It definitely has its softer moments, the ballads and stuff.
Yeah.
So look, if I was really going to nitpick this and find flaws in it, it's possibly those softer moments. But even that's not saying much, because they actually serve the purpose pretty well.
I think they're important.
Yeah. Even though I love every track on the album, some of them are better than others. I mean, 2 of the real gems on here are the Overture 1928, I forgot reading down, and the Dance of Eternity, which is still, to this day, probably many of fans' most favourite Dream Theater song. That and probably Call Me Under, that most people got into and stuff like that. And Metropolis, yeah. And both of those are instrumentals, and that's a big call for me, because you guys know I hate instrumentals, right? But for me, they're probably the standout tracks on this album. Or up there, probably the best standalone song is Home, which I absolutely love. Heaviest song on the album, very, very cool Middle Eastern influence in it as well. They threw everything but the kitchen sink at this album, and it all bloody worked well. Seeing what this album also marked was a tradition that Dream Theater would finish an album with one theme and start the next album with a continuation of that theme. I think they went up until Octavarium. So good thing. Yeah, so what I really loved is how they're going to follow up the next album and just continuing that theme and so on like that. So, I mean, they had great foresight in doing that kind of stuff. One thing we didn't mention that, it's a concept album, but it's very loosely based on a 1991 movie called Dead Again with Kenneth Branagh. Okay. The skeleton of the story is based on that. Yeah. What I'd love to see is this made into a proper movie. Because for me, the true test of a concept album is, would I want to watch a movie based on this? Yeah, this, 100% I would.
There are some student films on YouTube.
Right?
Yeah.
Got to check them out. So the answer for me is yes, story-wise, and not as an album, but story-wise, this is better than Mindcrime in terms of story. And for me, it engages me. Yeah. Not as an album, but just as a story. And that's the way I listen to it. I listen to it as a story, as a movie. Really, for me, only King Diamond can put together a better story than this. Look, waffled enough. Perfect album, no flaws in it for me. Perfect, 10 out of 10. Standout tracks, all of them. But Home and Dance of Eternity and Strange Deja Vu.
I play drums, right? The first track on this album, there's a clicking clock, ticking clock, and then Labrie counts down from 10, ever so slightly out of time with the clock.
And that just got on you.
Got under my skin.
It's not Labrie, it's a hypnotist.
It's supposed to be. Okay. Look, again,
that annoyed you, but you got through Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish has some wonderful syncopation. Look, this is probably the best Dream Theater album as it's been covered. I think the thing is with this is that, again, while there are all those virtuoso moments, it's the non-virtuoso moments that are better than the rest of the Dream Theater catalogue.
Yeah.
I think this is Labrie's best album as well. I mean, his vocals can be polarising, but they are polarising, but this is his least polarising performance.
Yeah. It's his safest one, yeah.
Again, probably suits his tone much more sitting in this range than other ranges, but again, that's probably a debate. It's long, it's a hard listen, it's supposed to be a hard listen, but for what it is very good. And I mean, if you're a Dream Theater fan, or if you're just a music fan, or somebody who's a fan of composition, then you should probably check it out. I mean, but if you're looking for, 3 chords, then you're probably not going to, but again, it's Dream Theater, you already know that. 8 out of 10, Dance for Eternity is a highlight.
Cool. This starts off channeling like a bit of Pink Floyd and then gets stuck into the staccato prog that you kind of expect from this band. Some cool use of harmonies, and that aids in the storytelling a bit for mine as well. The female vocal in particular was a nice touch on this record. You got all the clinical tones, and that's why I've always struggled with this band, because it's always too clinical. I don't get enough warm feel and vibe from this band. But James' vocals are a tone as well that needs more warmth added to it. This is better than a lot of the other ones I've heard from him. It's not quite so sharp and cutting, but it still is a thing for mine. Performance is fuck. We know they can play, they can sing, they can do all those sorts of things. There's nothing to worry about there in the actual talent. And the composition is pretty good here too. They got the prog thing down, but this also had like the space, depth, a bit of groove and feel to come into this one. It's more easily accessible than most prog albums, especially from this band, are. And I've got to give a nod to the lyrics and the overall story. So between the lyrics, the story, the songwriting, the performances, it all actually serves the song and the album. There's no, there is some wankery, which I'll get to in a minute, but for the most part, this is actually well structured and it serves the purpose. Overall, the album flow is pretty good. The production isn't quite as warm as I would like, but it is better than a lot of the other ones. The beginning and the end of this album close the circle really nice. That's a good touch, and I liked the way it did start and end, like as a story as well.
Yep.
However, between Home and The Dance of Eternity, you've got a good 10 minutes or so of wankery that do nothing to advance this album whatsoever. I get that they're showing off and they can play, but it does nothing to serve the story. Yes. Nothing at all. No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
What?
You'll get to it in a minute.
Yeah. Okay. Alright, for me it did nothing, and that's where this band dead set fucking pisses me off, because they get too self-indulgent and it doesn't serve the album. And that's a shame for me, because I can tell the talent, I can tell those things and all those things, but the album is well executed, but that's a big chunk of time in an already long listen that just didn't need to be there. And so just put the fucking edit point. If it was a movie, if it was Avatar, you fucking cut half of it out. Like, that's the impression I get out of this. Just because you can do just because you can do a thing doesn't mean you should do a thing. If it's an album that if you've got the time and the patience for it, it'll reward you. But if you don't, then this is not one that's going to change your mind. It's hard to casually listen. But that's what I did enjoy. I gave it 7.5 out of 10. I picked Fatal Tragedy, Finally Free, and Beyond This Life. They're my standouts.
Beautiful. As far as concept albums go, this is a fantastic story and it's really told really well. Music and lyrics help set the mood, pacing and dramatic effect. I've got 2 minutes, let me get through it. The story is set in the 20s, but it's an ageless story about a love triangle that goes bad, told through the use of hypnosis and past life regression. That's perfect material for a prog metal band to tackle, especially a band that can perform so many different styles. The only problem with this album, especially now in the age of streaming, is it might be a bit hard to know what character the lyrics are referring to at what time. In the lyric sheet and on the record, the past section's in italics, and they've got character names in front of everything, and sometimes a present character.
I thought it was still pretty clear in the story.
It might be a bit unclear. Well, once you got the idea of what's happening, it's pretty easy. Yeah. And I don't think of another concept album that has a twist at the end that's perfectly executed like this.
That was well done.
Yeah,
it was very well
pretty
done.
clever.
The story was good.
Unlike The Astonishing, there's only a handful of characters in this, so James LeBrake has a great way of inflicting a different vocal style slightly to each character, where the fucking Astonishing had like 50 characters, which is too much.
Yeah.
The guest vocals of Teresa Thomas is fantastic, and probably two standouts in the album is Through Her Eyes and The Spirit Carries On. They've got really soulful, and not really you expect on a metal album, let alone a Dream Theater album.
Good counterpoint to Liberate.
Yeah, they had 50. It's so good live.
Okay.
Yeah, because she went on tour with them when they toured this album.
Yeah, on DVD as well. Got
Yeah, it's so good. Petrucci's guitar playing on this album is perfect. We all know he can play, and he doesn't overplay when not necessary. He gets into the technical stuff when it serves the song and the story. There are some killer guitar shred moments, but they can be followed up with some really subtle melodic lines and some clean chords. The solo on The Spirit Carries On...
Dogs are twitching.
That solo on The Spirit Carries On, when he does that kind of jazzy stuff, and then he just holds that note at the end, he just squeezes everything out of it. That's got soul, man, and feel. Don't tell me they can't fucking play with that.
No one said they
No
can't
one ever said
play.
that.
Yeah, but with feel and soul.
This has more than most.
Yeah,
Spirit
this
Carries
is
On
probably
is
the most
really cheesy,
successful one. Listening to this reminds me just how much I miss Portnoy in the band. Not just his amazing performances, but the composition, the musical direction, and
I think he helped in
producing.
production too.
Yeah, and a lot of it was his ideas moving forward, taking the story of the original. Well, it was John Petrucci's story, but they helped flesh it out.
Yeah.
It's easy in the album I can listen to it over and over again from start to finish, with the intro of the hypnotist and the clock ticking down. Nice way to set the mood, and the panning going back and forth. I'll just jump forward a little bit. I'm going to go on and on. The album closes. Chapter 2.
Side B.
Movement 2.
Oh wow, hang on.
I'm about to have a movement if you don't know.
The whole album is structured taking it from the original song. So the Dance of Eternity is like the instrumental section at the end of the first one. So it kind of expanded out. And if you know what's happening in the story, it's when like the affair is in full swing. The Dance of Eternity is actually referencing sex.
Yeah,
Because the original one is actually like a musical orgasm.
I get what you're saying, but as a listening point of view, it didn't
What
do
the
anything.
fuck was going on there?
Yeah.
Well, it's all out of time. Yeah, 3, 4, 5, 4.
Yeah, it's fucking to the Fibonacci sequence. Go on, quick.
So the
This is
album-
reviews longer than a fucking album.
The album closer, Finally Free, would be one of the best concept album endings all time, probably equal to The Great Misconception of Me on the Crimson Idol. Using the chorus as a section for each of the characters, just brings everything together nicely. I'm glad I discovered this album when I did, because I really needed a band like this. After decades of listening to just the 90s...
Guns N' Roses.
The 90s depression shit and the heavily detuned 7-string guitars where people were only playing one-finger chords, I was thinking, can anybody play their fucking instruments? So this really saved my interest in music. I gave this 100 out of 10. Everything is a standout. Now, the prop. Quickly. There's a meme going around where it's got like a bunch of kids sitting in a desk and they're all writing, doing a test, and it says Dream Theater Mosh Pit. The funny thing about that is it's fucking true. Okay, there's my book. There's my homework.
Oh wow.
You can get a fucking lot out of this. Actually analyze each fucking song. Broken down.
We can tell.
Yeah.
On that note, check it out for yourselves and let us know what you think.
I love our succinct reviews. This is good. Fucking hell.
That's my split.
Wow.
That was my longest review, by the way. So mine.
That was nuts. Sisters of Mercy now. This is
Billie
Billy.
Eilish to Dream Theater to
Sisters of Mercy.
Okay.
This is going to be fun. Alright, you ready to go last, Brendan?
Yeah,
Alright,
so I go first.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which way do you want to go, guys?
We'll go this way. Then
Yeah.
last.
Alright. You alright? Yep. Sisters of Mercy, Floodland, 8 tracks, 45...